Jöregelt kívánok, úgy vagy. I think that's long enough. Can you see that? 36, 36.7 degrees Celsius. So I don't know what the conversion is. If I were back home, if I were back home, I'd have Alexa, and I would ask Alexa, Alexa, what is 36.7 degrees Celsius in Fahrenheit? So, oh goodness gracious, good morning from Albury, and you like a good story. I like to I like to tell a good story. I woke up this morning and I find myself in a most beautiful garden. It's what a beautiful place that I have found myself. And I woke up this morning and I walked out into the garden, and I couldn't but to help think of a song that is a favorite of mine. And I'm putting a link to this song down in the description of this video. And the song is called "In the Garden," and it's by Van Morrison. And if there were ever a song that described me, ever, ever a song that described me, it's "In the Garden" by Van Morrison. And listen to it. Listen to it. Listen to the lyrics. It's such a gorgeous song. You know, there's a verse in there, and one day you came back home, you were a creature all in rapture. You had found the key to your soul, and you did open that day in the garden, wet with rain. And the song goes back to a period in my life where I became born again, and I had found Christ. And the song correlated with what I was experiencing at that point in time in my life so much that it's just amazing. And there's another line through that song that says, "No method, no teacher, no guru, just you and I, and the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost in the garden, wet with rain." And that's it. I mean, it's that when I had and this isn't going to be a video all about my relationship with God, but I got to tell you that I listened to that song, and particularly that one chorus: "No method, no teacher, no guru, just you and I." And I think that's where a lot of people fall short of making a connection with God. They try to go through an established church, a structured methodology. They try to go through a structured methodology to connect with God, and at the end of the day, you don't need any of that. Not to say that that's not important. Fellowship is very, very important because it gives you the support mechanisms, that are so helpful in dealing with situations in life. But ultimately, to connect to God, it's just you and Him in the garden, wet with rain. And it's not wet with rain right now, but anyway. So there's a lot on my mind today, a ton on my mind. First of which, I did the drive yesterday from the Blue Mountains down here to Albury, Albury, and I gotta tell you, gorgeous, breathtaking, just like so many parts of California. Just wide open spaces, rolling hills, grazing cattle, uh, just absolutely gorgeous. And the temperature, the weather. I'm waking up today, there's not a cloud in the sky. I think temperature is going to be about 75, 80 degrees. No humidity, not at all. It is absolutely, it's beautiful. It is a beautiful, beautiful autumn day. And let me show you this garden here. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on a second. I forgot something. mm, mm, boy, That's good. And oh yes, biscotti. So anyway, let me show you this garden. It is. It's beautiful. These people's home, and I asked them, "Do you mind if I do a video?" And they said no. And I know I did a video yesterday when I checked in. But look here, you got a lime tree. So you got your lime tree here, and they definitely like their succulents. I see lots of succulents, and that's a word that I learned decorating my house. Was the whole succulent thing. But I sit here and I look at this home, and it's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I mean, look at the patio, the terrace. They got a barbecue over in the corner. Just absolutely a beautiful, beautiful place, and so peaceful. And they just really they go out of their way to make sure all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed, and what have you. Coming in, in looking into the refrigerator. But boy, what a beautiful place! It really is. Beautiful. Oh my goodness. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know waking up in this garden that the world is going to hell in a handbasket. You just really wouldn't even begin to imagine that. Back here, I think they've got what is this back here? It's almost like they have a chicken coop or something like that back there. But anyway, all right. So sounds like they're doing some construction. Have you decided where you will be in the near future, Brent? I have decided about that. And I was going to call this video. On the outside looking in. And yesterday I asked for some advice. I asked for some advice from you folks as to, what would you do in my situation as I find my way back into the house. What would you do? And I got to tell you, I got some really, really great advice, and I appreciate everyone out there that took the time to give me their advice. And some of the advice that I got, I got was it was easy to see where some of the advice was from thoughts of wisdom and what have you, and some of the thoughts were based upon fear and what could happen and all that kind of stuff. And I got back here yesterday. I checked in last night. I was a little bit tired after driving 6 hours and what have you. And I turned on the news. And I started reading the news and watching, what have you. And a couple thoughts that came through my mind. I mean, when I was coming through into Albury, and I came into this little community 3 hours east of Melbourne, and I just saw, I mean, the surrounding countryside, it's so tranquil and just beautiful and peaceful, and and what have you. And then I pulled into my place, and I turned on the news, and I was watching the news, and one particular segment on the news that caught my attention was by a world health expert, and what he was saying really really hit home with me. He was talking about when he's looking at the statistics of the coronavirus, the one that he really looks at and focuses on the most is that of the death count, the death toll. And in particular, he was looking at Italy. He was looking at the death toll in Italy. And he was saying that, it had gone from 90 deaths in a day to 250 deaths in a day. And I don't know if it's at its peak there or not. I can't recall from the specifics. But he said that if you take that observation You know, 90 deaths in a day to 250. And you compare that, Tom, don't know if you have heard, but bars and restaurants are ordered closed in Ohio. Yeah. But no, I haven't heard that, but it doesn't surprise me. But when I heard that, the doctor went on to say that in the United States, if you do the math, if you do the ratio, we're looking at the United States is looking at a scenario where there'll be 1,000 deaths a day. If Italy has 250 a day, the United States, very well potentially and in all likelihood, is going to be faced with the situation of 1,000 deaths a day. And I looked at that, and then he went on to say, he said, historically, pandemics have a relatively short lifespan. And he said that the coronavirus is going to be gone. I don't know if it's going to be gone. They're not going to have a vaccine. It could resurface, but for all intent and purpose, the coronavirus is going to be gone by summertime. What's that, June? So we're coming on April, May, 2 more months, 60 more days. And, he was talking about that. And then I started seeing news reports of what people that are coming back to the United States are going through. I saw that. I was looking at the news of what people in the United States are going through to get back in the country. Just packed like sardines in airports. 6 hours to get your baggage. 10 hours to go through screening. 2 weeks of self-isolation. All this stuff that's going through stores just being run out of food. It's like I'm on the outside looking in. It really is. I mean, it's like I'm on the outside looking in. And so I asked myself, why in the world, would I get on a plane and leave such tranquility and such beauty and go back to such mayhem and uncertainty? I just don't see that happening. I can't see that happening. I mean, I've got, and then as far as the health concerns, the majority of the people that get the coronavirus, they don't die from the coronavirus. The majority of the people get mild symptoms. They'll get mild symptoms and they recover. It's the people that are, most, it's the elderly, the elderly people, the people with compromised immune systems, that are getting the, that have the mortality. Not to say that, there aren't exceptions to the rule, but generally speaking, it's those people that are facing the biggest health challenges. Hmm. So um, with that being said, I think it would be, I think it'd be foolish. I think it'd be really foolish for me to leave. And I look at the cost and everything like that. I look at the cost associated with this, and in looking at the cost associated with this, um, I have I have 500,000 points, 500,000 points, and I went to look at what it would cost me for a hotel here in Arbery where I'm staying, and I can get a hotel for one night for 4 or 5 thousand points. So if you do the math, at 5,000 points a night, that's 20 nights times five, that's 100 nights, that's 3 months. I have enough points. I have enough points, and I'm not talking flea bag hotels. These are hotels that, there's not a lot of people traveling right now. And as such, the rates on these hotels has gone down significantly. So, hmm. So without spending a dime, I have 3 months worth of hotel rooms. Alexa heard you. 98.06. Thank you. So I don't have a temperature, but anyway. So as of right now, my plan is I'm up in the air between Adelaide and Hobart. Tasmania, I've heard so many beautiful, wonderful things about Tasmania. I've just heard, I'm not a city boy. I've never been a city boy. I like the country. I like nature. Nature is where I feel most connected to God. And and I've heard so many beautiful things about Tasmania. Tasmania is supposed to be just spectacular. A lot of agriculture, a lot of apple farms and cherry farms and dairy farms and what have you. And so, to be quite honest with you, I'm inclined right now, as it is, to get on a plane and go rent. I could get a hotel in Hobart. That is what I told you yesterday, to stay there. California is having problems, and that would be your point of entry. Plus, someone could be sick on your flight. Yeah, somebody could be sick on the flight, but anyway, that's my inclination. My inclination is to go to my inclination is to go just just get a nice place there, somewhere in the city. Get a nice place for 2 weeks or something like that, or a month, whatever it is. Rent a car on the weekends. Go do nice scenic drives in the countryside. Wherever you can keep distance from you and others who smart. I wouldn't dare travel home if I were you. Thank you, Joe. But Joe, it's nice to see you and participating. So, and Joe is a client, and a friend of mine. Wonderful guy. But anyway, now it's going from inclination to talking about responsibility. I find myself, an interesting thing about me is that in light of all this, I don't find myself worried. I don't find myself worried as much about myself and my well-being. What I find interesting is I find myself being worried and concerned about other people that I care about. In particular, I know a mother and a daughter back in Florida that I've been giving work to, and that work that I give to them makes the difference in their life. It, I know it makes the difference in their life. It's the difference between them, paying rent or being on the street. It's the difference between them. I think having food, well balanced meals to eat, and having ramen and what have you. And all day yesterday, I'm driving along and I'm finding myself thinking that I got to get to my computer. I got to get to, I got to do the work. I got to get I got to, get my work done and get work for these individuals and what have you. And, and that, and then the other thing that's, I was taking my temperature today for a reason. I bought a temperature thing yesterday because I've about 4 or 5 days ago, I don't know if it was 4 or 5 days ago, I started having a very, very subtle, just a very, very subtle sore throat. Nothing big, nothing major, nothing. Normally, I wouldn't even think about it very much. It's just a very, very subtle sore throat, and and I was conscientious of it, but I wasn't too worried about it. And then a couple nights ago, when uh, when I was with Michelle and we were going to sleep, I had a very brief coughing episode, just very brief. It wasn't more than a minute. It really didn't last more than a minute, and then it went away, and I fell asleep. And yesterday, No coughing, no sneezing, no anything like that, no congestion, nothing like that. Just the very subtle presence of a sore throat and and what have you. So I thought I should get take my temperature. I thought that would be the responsible thing to do is to take my temperature. So I took my temperature, and as you see, it's 98, whatever. I think 98.6 is considered average or typical or healthy or whatever. But this morning I called the local hospital here. I called the hospital, and they have a coronavirus screening system set up where you can call in and book. Excuse me, I think it's Elnagist or Boat Channel. I don't know, one of the two. Hmm. But but I called into the hotline, because my plan potentially, and then whatever, is to go and visit Oz, Carlo and his wonderful wife, and I don't want to go visit them if even a remote possibility that I have the coronavirus. I have that responsibility to them, not to not I have that responsibility to everybody, not just to Carlo. And uh and um so anyway, so I called the helpline, and they had a bunch of screening questions. Have you been to China in the last 14 days? Are do you have diarrhea? Do you have this? Do you have that? Do you have that? And I told her, I said, no, I said, I don't have a temperature. I said, I don't have aches and pains. I don't have upset stomach. I'm not weak. I said, I'm a little crazy. Is that on the checklist? And she said, let me check. And she said, no, being crazy is not on the checklist. I said, is being overweight on the checklist? I said, is overweight, is being fat, is that on the checklist? And this time, why you going to get on a plane? This time it's Corona time. Yeah, exactly. But I don't know what is it about getting on a plane. Everybody is paranoid about getting on a plane. Like that's the worst place you could be, is on a plane. I mean, you go to the supermarket, you go to the supermarket, you're touching things, you're doing, what is it about being on a plane? Not that I would necessarily board a plane. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I had the option to get on two planes, and plane A had nobody with coronavirus and plane B had, you know, two people with coronavirus, would I get on, plane A or plane B? I'd get on plane A, but that's not a question. But in a dire situation, like emergency situation, would I get on a plane with somebody that had coronavirus? I might. If I had the right protection and what have you, I might get on a plane if I was protected and I had good hygiene and wipe down everything and what have you. Um, so it's this whole situation. It's about not letting the situation get the better of you. Life is 10% what happens to you, and 90% uh, 90% how you react. It's 10% what happens, and 90% how you react to it all. So so my 90% is just to use due diligence, use caution, use common sense, and just wish for the best. That's all I can really do. So anyway, but with all that being said, I asked Michelle. I told Michelle. I called Michelle today, and I told her that New Zealand is off. New Zealand. I'm not going to New Zealand. At least not anytime soon. While they have the toughest restrictions in the world regarding screening and what have you. I'm not going to get on a plane and go to New Zealand over there. But I told Michelle, I mean, Michelle and I are supposed to do the Great Ocean Road this weekend. She's supposed to catch a flight down here to Melbourne, and Michelle is just kind of like, oh well, yeah, let's go. I want to go. I want to do the Great Ocean Road, and that's her mindset. She doesn't. Where are you going to fly to? I I don't know that I'm gonna fly. I don't know. Well, if I go to Tasmania, I could take a boat. That would be an experience, an 8-hour cruise to Tasmania. That might be a nice thing to do on a Sunday, an 8-hour cruise to Tasmania out of Melbourne. So maybe I'll do that. But anyway, folks, that's basically it. So you know what? I gotta share something else with you. I got a I have a sister that has Down syndrome, and her name is Monica, and Monica has been having some health issues recently, and they just moved her into she's been in a care home for years, for all of her adult life. She's been in the same care home, and just wonderful, wonderful people that take care of her and all the other occupants of this care facility. But my sister's had some health problems lately, and they moved her to a I don't know if you want to call it. They moved her to a different care facility. It's the same care facility that my grandmother was in, and from what I recall, it has every bit the look and feel of a nursing home, convalescent home. But my mom said it's not a nursing home. But anyway, they moved my sister into this home, and my sister is blind, and she's 54, and they don't allow any visitors. There's no visitors allowed into the facility, and they apparently she has her own room, and she has her own room, and I'm going to give her a call and say hi. But anyway, I thought maybe I would call her while I was on. But anyway, that's about it, folks. I need to get on with my day, and let all you get on with your day as well. So I'm doing well. There's no knock on wood. Thank the Lord. There's no problems here. But listen to that song in the description of this video, In the Garden. Listen to the song, listen to the lyrics. I'll never forget, I was driving back from Rome up to Zurich on a trip with a girl that didn't speak a word of English. Her name was Sabina. And we got up near the border of Switzerland, and that song came on. And as we drove along, I looked over at her, and she was just crying so much, just tears running down her face. And mind you, she didn't understand a word of English. And I had to pull the car over, and I had to say, Sabina, what's wrong? Why you cry? And she said, Tom, the music, so beautiful, so beautiful. And yes, it is. It is beautiful. So anyway, with all that being said, I need to get on with my day, folks. I hope you all have a have a great day. Take good care. And you know what? I appreciate all of you. I really do. Because if it weren't for so many of you out there that support me and encourage me with your words, boy, traveling just wouldn't be the same. Life wouldn't be the same. And I mean that with all the sincerity in my heart. You having a lot of you folks really makes a difference for me, and boy, do I appreciate you. All right, take good care. Bye bye.